It's the top of the hour. This is Weather Center Live. I'm meteorologist Liana Brackett.
And I'm meteorologist Julie Martin. You know, we're tracking the rain and the storms moving across the east at this hour, but we're also keeping a very close eye on the tropics.
Yeah, and talk about the southern storms. We're seeing some storms that are picking up across, stretching from Houston, San Antonio, over towards New Orleans, and even into Atlanta, and it will continue through the next several hours. We have a lot of lightning associated with these storms, as well as very heavy rain, which prompts some flash flood warnings. And this flash flood warning is currently encompassing San Antonio. So this is definitely where we still had that video that we just showed you. This is in effect until 2:15 p.m. Central Time. Let's head a little bit further east. We're looking at flash flood warnings developing across parts of Mississippi. Lots of lightning associated with these storms as well. And we aren't going to see much change. We have a lot of tropical moisture that's basically being trapped. It's right along the coastline, and it will just stay that way as upper disturbances continue to bring. Talking about all these thunderstorms, we're talking about some major travel delays that are popping up across the entire nation. So all these areas, all these represent airports, all these dots right here. And you'll notice some are yellow, some are red, some are orange. So the red ones are actually being impacted by thunderstorms across the area. So Houston, LaGuardia, we're seeing some delays as high as almost an hour. So here we go. We're taking a look at all the airports. We're taking a look at Seattle. Low visibility is the culprit for the almost half-hour delay, but sunshine is definitely in the area. We have a few low clouds across the area. San Francisco, similar story, low ceilings, about a half an hour delay. Los Angeles, no delays. That's kind of nice. But Houston, an hour and a half, and it's due to those thunderstorms that are pushing across the area. Another spot, Newark, New Jersey. Thunderstorms are creating a 2-hour delay and an hour and almost an hour and a half at LaGuardia. New York, JFK, almost 2.5 hours. And then Washington, Reagan, just 0 minutes, even though it has those showers pop up. But unfortunately, it'll have kind of a domino effect because we will see some delays, possibly because of all the weather in the area. So let's take a look at the warnings that we have across Philadelphia, New York. Across this area, we do have several flash flood warnings that are currently in effect, as well as a severe thunderstorm warning. This is impacting parts of Sussex counties. It's in effect until 3:15 p.m. Eastern Time, impacting the cities of Lewis, Long Neck, and Rehoboth Beach. And definitely expect some gusty winds and some possible hail associated with it. Lots of lightning are also popping up with these storms as well. Let's head back into Texas now. We're looking at this little bullseye, lots of lightning developing, but again, we have another flash flood warning across it's actually right along I-10, and it's heading towards Beaumont with the training of storms across the same exact area.
Let's go ahead and take a closer look at Tropical Storm Franklin, the other tropical system we're watching that's currently down in the Gulf of Mexico. One of the ingredients that we often look at for our forecast is the wind shear. Now, wind shear, vertical wind shear, is just the change in speed or direction of winds with altitude in the atmosphere. That's typically not something that's favorable for hurricane development because it tends to pull apart the structure and the storm can't form. So right now, Tropical Storm Franklin is in an environment of favorable winds, meaning it's able to develop because we don't have a lot of vertical wind shear. But watch what happens as we move forward in time. These colors are showing you where the models are taking the track of that storm, and the purple colors are showing you the vertical wind shear. Notice it's picking up a bit as we head across the Yucatan Peninsula here, and then it reemerges out in the Gulf of Mexico. Now, there may be a window of time where it might be able to develop even further and potentially become a hurricane both today and looking forward. So what do you say we go ahead and take a look at the vertical wind shear moving forward to next week? Because again, this is going to be important for the forecast in determining whether or not this storm is going to develop. So here's a look at the vertical wind shear as we move forward in time. This is now for Wednesday. There are two things to take away here. Notice the flags are moving in two different directions. The ones down at the surface are moving away from you, whereas the ones above are moving from west to east. That's that vertical wind shear in direction that we don't need for hurricanes. But look at the numbers here. They're about 15, 20. Lower down in the atmosphere, they're in the 10s, heading up into the teens. This isn't terribly high. Storms still have the potential to develop for this. So if we go ahead and take a look at our shear parameter, we're giving this one a low chance for the wind shear, meaning that's in a favorable environment for hurricanes to develop because we don't have a lot of shear. In that environment, we can get those really deep tropical thunderstorms. We get plenty of fuel for the storm, and the storm is able to intensify. So moving forward, we're going to have to watch this one very carefully to see how it develops and what happens with the shear, because that could really impact our forecast. Julie, over to you.
All right, really great. Erika Navarro.
Yeah, so we're here, we're talking about tropics, and we have a pretty active pattern right now, as expected for this time of the year.
Yeah, we're heading into the heart of hurricane season now. We're getting into the second week of August. We've got 3 different areas that we're currently watching, but right now, all eyes are on Tropical Storm Franklin because it's showing much better organization as of today. It's looking like it has a window of opportunity here to develop even further before it makes its first imminent landfall here across the Yucatan Peninsula. Winds right now around 60 miles per hour, and it's moving off to the west-northwest, but it's going to make its trek across the Yucatan. But look at this development right now on the satellite. We're seeing a lot of thunderstorm activity right here near the center. You can see this clearing that's looking kind of like an eye. Before, it was unclear if it was what we call suction holes. You know, it's just a little bit of clearing, but you can see the low-level center. But it's certainly trying to develop here as it's making its way over towards Mexico.
So, I mean, even as we're looking at this, I mean, it looks like it's very close to land, and we can expect a lot of heavy rain.
Yeah. Yes, unfortunately, and also some very strong winds and possibly some storm surge because, as Liana just mentioned, it's making its way very close to land. So we're expecting a landfall here along the eastern coast of the Yucatan Peninsula. There are hurricane watches in effect for this area. That means that hurricane conditions are possible in this region in the next 24 hours or so. But it will be continuing off to the west-northwest, and we're expecting it to reemerge here into the Gulf of Mexico and potentially even develop from that. There's a closer look at those hurricane watches. So it extends here from Punta Allen all the way down to Chetumal. And again, this showing you the conditions are favorable for hurricanes. So that would be very strong winds, potentially a very strong storm surge on top of the high tide.
And sometimes you would think that it would actually kind of slow down as it's crossing over land, but that's not really the case.
This system is certainly moving fairly quickly. Now, it will weaken when it interacts with wind, but that center of circulation is going to continue, and it will maintain some amount of structure in the upper levels. So we are expecting it to develop further from that. But out into the deep tropical Atlantic, we are watching another area here, Invest 99L. This one right now has about a 20% chance of development in the next 5 days. So not the greatest chances, but we are, again, keeping an eye on it because that's an area that we certainly do see some hurricane activity this time of the year. And it's looking like it's going to take this track here also to the west-northwest, and this is the area we'll be watching for it to develop.
All right, well, thanks so much, Dr. Navarro. We'll touch back with you in just a minute. But from the Gulf Coast to New England, millions of people